And you know what? That's what we're hardwired for. All of us. These people are related to the collective ancestors of all of us. We are all designed for strings to become ropes. And you all know what that feels like with your pet, or with your best friend, or with the person that you love the most. But could you imagine if you had it with all aspects of nature? And yes, it can be done in the city, it can be done in the country, it can be done in the deep wilderness. It's just about building bonds. What's the gift of this? If we get these ropes and we connect in this way, what comes out of that? Well, for the last 40 years, I've actually been studying that. And this is what comes out of it. And it doesn't come out from one day. You know, if we do it today, there's so much good stuff coming through that makes us feel all these feelings. But if you wanted this to be a consistent thing, we'd want to build those threads to cords to ropes. So we would become more loving. We would be more present, and our genius would be more obvious. We'd be happier. We'd be more vital with electricity in our bodies. We would have more ability to focus and to listen to each other deeply without thinking at the same time, but listening unconditionally and with empathy. And we would become more visionary, and we would want to help the world, and we want to become a thought leader. We would want to do something for the future generations, and it just comes intrinsically. It's not an idea. It emerges from our nervous system. We feel alive. We feel in love with life. And we share these webs of connection with all of life around us. And today, so many people are just in isolation and loneliness and sadness, you know, depression and anxiety and all of this. And if we can reawaken this ancient connection, we can find that peace again. We can use what we call applied mindfulness. You know, and we can employ some teachers to help us who don't charge a thing. But here's the foundation. We need to awaken our vision to use our peripheral vision and to use our eyes to identify things. We already do that very well in modern times. We need to use our whole body when we tell stories. If we're going to talk about a snake, then we should be the snake. When we hear, we should listen to the four directions in front of us and behind us, out to the far right and the far left, and listen for the quietest sound. And listen for the patterns of the birds and animals. We should use our skin to sense the wind, to feel the heat, to use our fingers for the tactile touch, but also to be aware of our breathing and our bodies and how they are positioned. And we use our sense of smell to detect the changes in our landscapes, the seasons, and the environment. We use our inner senses, our intuition, to feel, and we're going to do that together in a moment. And we use our taste to interact with our food, not just is it salty enough, is it sweet enough, but to really communicate with our food. And more than anything, we want to use all of our senses in our memory. When we tell stories to each other, we want to pull all those senses in a circle into our memory. We call that the storyteller's mind. And from that place of awakened senses, which is that ring I just shared with you in the center now, then we build the ropes with the birds and the hazards and the things that are fun to catch and eat. We look for the tracks in the sign, and we get to know the plants and the ecology of our area. We learn about the heritage species where we live, the ones that need our care so they can get to the future. The trees and what they can provide for us, and the birds and their language. And, you know, there's a lot of science that backs up why this works. You know, it's called sensory integration. When we pull all our senses together in the way that I just described, and we make that nature connection with awakened senses, we get something called emotional regulation, which basically means we're happy, we're healthy,